Hi everybody. If you experience procrastination, low motivation, or you feel that you are not living in purpose or in your mission, you're going to want to watch this video. And what I'm about to share with you comes from over 20 years working really closely with investors and business owners and helping them through periods of low motivation or through periods where they have no ability to connect to their purpose. First up, let's just quickly talk about the advantages of being motivated and having feeling like you have a very purpose-filled life. Typically you'll have high energy because you are motivated by inspiration and enthusiasm, and the things that you are creating are truly inspiring to you. So you tend to be fulfilled, you tend to be happier than the normal person. People will tend to be attracted to you because aren't you attracted to people that are in their purpose? Your relationships will tend to be better because you'll have less resentfulness because you feel like you are living a meaningful life. And when you aren't in purpose or you don't feel motivated, you usually feel resentful about the life that you are living. And one of the biggest byproducts of living in purpose or feeling motivated, and both those things go hand in hand, is you really feel like you are living the life that you are here to live, because we're all completely different individuals with different interests. So typically people will come to us saying I'm procrastinating, or I just have lost my zing. Business is just starting to really make me feel overwhelmed. And I've just lost my mojo for it. And we always start in the same place. We want to understand the client. So first of all, we can imagine, well, that's not going to work. Green's not going to be fantastic in this light. So this is a human being, or my symbolism of a human being. And this here is above the line, meaning it's what the person's conscious of, and this is what they're unconscious of under the line. So in the same way as you've got a heart beating right now, and if you didn't learn that you had a heart in school, you wouldn't know it. You might feel it beating, but you wouldn't know what it was. It would just be an unconscious process. You have all sorts of belief systems and primal drives and parts of your personality that sit on the unconscious level. They're controlling your behaviour, but you don't know anything about those parts that exist on the unconscious level. So the first thing we want to know when we're working with a client, helping them to find their purpose, get motivated in a mission, is we want to connect with the sub-personalities that hold their juice or their mojo. And I'll use myself as an example here. So as a young person, no one needs to tell me that I love surfing, that I love being in the water, that I love sailing boats. Something in me. I was born with something in me that naturally gravitated to that. My brother, a completely different human being to me, he was born with a desire to play music, specifically the guitar. So these were intrinsic to us, these drives. And so I started surfing, spent a lot of time in the water, skin diving, swimming, sailing boats. I just love being in the water. And that's because I have a part of me, we'll just call it the adventurer. My brother has a part of him, I don't know what you'd call it, it's his musician, I suppose, part of him. I'll leave that off there because I'm going to map myself out here. And that musician part of him makes up his personality. And so, actually I'll put it here, musician. So when he plays music, he feels alive, excited and inspired. When I go surfing, I feel alive, excited and inspired. My feelings tell me that this part of me, when it's fulfilled, that I feel good, is meaningful. It adds juice to my life. It adds meaning to my life. And I'll map out a couple more here. I have an entrepreneur. And the entrepreneur is a part of me that loves coming up with ideas, it loves seeing opportunities, and it loves creating business. It just loves that creative process. And I'll bring in one other part. I'll call it my lover connector. My lover connector is the part of me that just really enjoys being with my wife and with my children and their friends. Just loves being social and gets lots of fulfillment with being in good quality relationships with my family and good friends. So I learned at an early age that if I base my life on these three things, entrepreneur builds businesses that give me the free time to go surfing, give me the money to go traveling overseas, surfing with my family, give me a lot of time, money in the free time to spend a lot of time with my family and work on our relationships. I actively work on improving all my primary relationships with my family members. That I, as an individual, will feel fulfilled. And this comes to the first point in identifying purpose. The first thing is you must get connected to the parts in you, what we call the subpersonalities, that make up your personality, that hold your interests, that hold meaning, that when fulfilled, help you feel alive and excited. Now you think this might be easy to do, but it's not. Not for most people. Because for most people, your own personality structure, your own ego structure, for the most part, especially the older you get, it doesn't want you to really connect with the parts that hold meaning, that hold your mojo, that hold your juice. And the reason for that is typically any part that you want to access and honor because it brings you fulfillment and motivation will sit opposite either a wounded part or either parts that have now been dominant in your sight, creating a life for you that's not perfect, not wonderful, not alive, not meaningful, but you've chosen it out of function. Okay, so I'll explain what I mean by that. So at an early age, because I was fortunate, I had a really hard upbringing, so I was forced into really good, deep inner work at an early age. So I had to learn about all these things and these parts. So as a 19-year-old, I was already starting to work out exactly how I wanted to base my life and build my life based on these parts that brought me meaning. So I was fortunate I had good teachers. So come back to what I was saying before, if you grew up in a family and everyone in that family conditioned you to be an accountant, as an example, and they kept telling you things like you can't do what you love, you can't follow your passions, and they may not have said that out loud, but the way they lived may have shown you that, okay, to survive and do well in this world, I must forget the childish things that I'm interested in, and I must get a good job, and my parents and the people around me reckon that it's going to be really good if I'm an accountant. So at an early age, even without you knowing it, you may have been conditioned by the people you're around to divorce yourself and your awareness from these parts because you were told it wouldn't help you survive, and so you take a role or a job on based on what your parents and your immediate family told you would help you survive. So you would have spent an entire life building a life around something that's a lie, something that's not right for you from the perspective of motivation, joy, and enjoyment. And as a result of that, you've probably got friends who also support you in that form of thinking. Therefore, you don't want to really own these things because it's going to push you up against the part of you that had helped you make a whole bunch of primary life choices. Okay, so we could say that, call that the status quo part. Okay. Another element with this is opposite all these parts. So every time I owned my entrepreneur, my adventurer, and my lover connect, now if I really honour that I'm going to base my goals and my life on these parts, I'm going to meet the parts that are wounded, and I'm going to meet the parts that hold beliefs that say I can't, the parts that have self-doubt. Let me show you. So to own, as an example, the entrepreneur part of me, I went, well, I love creating ideas. I see business opportunities. I want to be the boss of my own life, so I've got the money and the free time to go surfing and to be with my family. The moment I own that and I start to set goals with my entrepreneur, I'm going to meet self-doubt. So self-doubt may have existed on the unconscious level while you're working in a job that you've done for years because it's in your competency zone. But the moment you own a part of you that's got a big goal that will bring you meaning, the self-doubt will start to rise out of the unconscious. Meaning you'll start to meet it and feel it. And because most people aren't aware, they just start to feel uncomfortable. And they're not really aware of why, because most people don't have high awareness of self. And so as this starts to come out of the unconscious, they'll find another part of them talking themselves out of following these things, because these things, these parts that hold our purpose and joy, trigger off the unconscious elements that have, as I said, beliefs that say we can't achieve based on these parts. Typically, these things here, if you're in your purpose, they're going to make you stand out. So any part of you that wants to hide, any part of you that's afraid of failing, any part of you that's afraid of success. We also see what we call role identities here. Like you might have a role or a concept. If you grew up in a working class family, your sense of self will all be about trading time for money, and I can only have X amount of money because that's all we get in the working class. Now you could have left the working class 30 years ago as an example. But here you are now setting big goals. You'll find out of the unconscious will become a working class sense of self part that will get triggered. So what happens, of course, with all these patterns is the psyche learns not to own what it really, really wants. The ego learns not to own what it really, really wants from these parts that hold your juice, mojo, and your life purpose. Because when you own it, you'll feel uncomfortable because you'll meet parts from the unconscious that you don't when you stay in a competency zone. When you stay in a competency zone is where you feel competent, and that equals a comfort zone. This is why when clients come to us and go, well, I don't really know what I really want to do. I don't know what I really, really love. It's never true. Never true. They don't consciously mean to lie, but it just means that other parts of the psyche are saying, do not own. I'm going to do anything not to allow this person to own any of these parts, because I'll feel really threatened because I'm going to have to feel and meet the parts that come up out of the unconscious. So this is the same I said today with procrastination. Procrastination happens. People procrastinate because they might start to own some of the goals of these parts. And then these things start to come up and they don't really want to meet them. They don't want to really feel them. They haven't developed a lot of self-mastery or inner awareness skills. So their procrastinator kicks off so they can avoid this and slow down taking steps towards their goals. By the way, if you are interested in this information, or you yourself want to get right on target and start living from your purpose and mission, make sure you join me in the Whole Brain Wealth course, where I tell you how to actually work with these parts and how to start to observe, and I give you a whole bunch of inner work practices that help you get in purpose mission and get focused on building the wealth that you want so you can live the life that matters to you. And you probably can get this from me. Building wealth for wealth's sake is not that exciting to me. But if you can build wealth based on purpose, man, that's creating a pretty amazing lifestyle. And you're becoming powerful as you do it, because as you own these different parts and you start to move into the challenge of creating from the parts that hold your purpose, meaning, and mojo, by default, you have to rewire or reprogram or transcend the parts of you that don't believe that you deserve it, or don't believe you have the competency to achieve it, or just don't believe that that can be a possible outcome for you. You must move through and transform those parts. So not only are you creating a really good life for yourself by doing this, but you're also evolving as a human being past old stuck patterns. And in the Whole Brain Wealth course, that's what I teach you exactly how to do. Actually, with the latest science, it's pretty amazing what's we've learned about transformation and change now, because of the great research that's being done by leading scientists all over the world around how this thing works, this whole body-mind complex. But regardless, I hope you get a lot out of this video, and keep up the good work. Keep growing, keep evolving, keep moving, and keep inspired by staying connected to your purpose and your mojo. Till next time, see ya.